Hello, and welcome to the Mind Blowing Happiness Podcast. This is your host, Trish Roberts, and today we're talking to theater actress and TikTok influencer, Mona Swain. And I've known Mona since she was like 10 years old, so it's like, for me, it's like amazing watching her grow up. So welcome, Mona, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing great. So first off, I think a lot of people would love to hear how you got started on TikTok.
Yes. I started TikTok about halfway through my freshman year of college. I felt like I kind of got thrown into atmosphere where I felt really out of place and kind of felt like an oddball a little bit. So I kind of felt like I needed a way to just release all of this creative energy and this big personality that I had that, didn't really mesh well with the people that I was around. And I just started posting videos on TikTok. And I got a chance to connect with a lot of people who are interested in the same things that I'm interested in. And it kind of made my big personality and my big mouth not seem so weird and annoying.
I know. It's funny. I was one of those kids when I was growing up. I was always getting in trouble for talking too much, and at the time it was like it was a bad thing. And then you realize, wait a minute, that's what people who are, on film and in front of people do. They talk a lot.
Mm-hmm.
However, I will say this podcast, I'm trying to reduce the length because I talk too much. So our topic today is self-love for young women. And in my book, 12 Steps to Mind-Blowing Happiness, I talk about the 4 pillars of self-love. So I figured we could kind of combine them and make them into like 3 good talking points. And I would love to get your input on each one of them.
Yes.
So we're going to give some self-love tips. So the first one that I would say to young women is to figure out what you're good at and figure out really who you are. I think that age that you're talking about, high school and the early college years, early 20s is when you're really trying to figure out who you are, like what you like and what you don't like and what you're good at, and what you want to spend your time doing. There's a term that's been getting tossed around. I use it a lot as a coach, which is to figure out what your superpowers are. Okay. And your superpowers are like the things that you really love doing that you also do well. So it can't be like, you really love to sing, but you are no good at it. Mm-hmm. So what do you think about that? And what do you think are your superpowers?
Yeah, I feel like for the longest time, what was holding me back from being the best version of myself was focusing on the things that I was not good at. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not good at this. I'm not good at this, especially going into acting and theater like I am now. It's like, well, I have to be better at this. I have to be good at this instead of just honing in on the things that I was really great at. I'm a really great singer. I think I have a really great stage presence. Like, even if I'm not necessarily the best dancer on stage, like I know how to pull focus and entertain so that it distracts me from what I may not be doing great. And yeah, I think I work well with people. And that also helps in working with a brand new group of people every time I do a new show, So those are 3 really great things that I think are my superpowers that I wish I kind of just focused on sooner, because I spent like all of my high school years just being like, I'm so bad at this, I'm so bad at this, I'm so bad at this, instead of being like, I am so great at so many other things.
That is such a good point though, because that's just true. Like a lot of times we focus on the things that we're not doing well, as opposed to really honing in on the things that we're really good at. Mm-hmm. They even have, this is a little bit of an aside, but there's something called a negativity bias, which is just kind of human nature, where like, say you go through your day and everything goes great that day, but then one really bad thing happens, like somebody yells at you in the grocery store. It's like at the end of the day, you'll focus on the person yelling at you at the grocery store. Like that'll be the thing that you remember instead of really focusing on the positive. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think for me, my superpower, I have been told, is bringing people together, like gathering groups together. And like you, I love people, so I love meeting new people and connecting with new people as well. So yeah, so that's definitely like becoming self-aware, and being able to use that self-awareness as like, I guess like a superpower, but also kind of like a weapon, you can really use it to get the things that you want. And then the other thing I would say is when you're on stage, like people can see how much you're enjoying yourself, and it's infectious, you know? Do you have any shows that you know of coming up?
I don't have any shows that I'm in right now. I'm kind of taking the summer to focus on some other things. I do have an audition for one of my favorite musicals of all time this coming Tuesday, which is literally the only thing that's been on my mind the last week or so. So fingers crossed for that one, but no for sure projects right now, no.
Okay, so you can't tell us your favorite musical of all time?
Oh, it's Pippin. Ah!
Oh, okay. All right, well, we're
one
gonna
of my
send out good
musicals.
energy for Tuesday.
I love Pippin. It's one of my favorite musicals of all time. I'm so excited to audition for it. So yeah.
All right, that's exciting. Okay. Oh, and the other thing that I would, the other thing about superpowers, and you're already doing it and I'm already doing it, which is even if you pursue a career path that's not exactly like your passion, you should still have something that allows you to, you know, focus on whether it, like for you, it was singing and performing. But I would say like, even if you took another career path, I would still want you to be singing and performing some way, you know, just for your personal joy. So that you can express yourself. All right, so we're going on to the second tip. So the first one was self-awareness, figure out who you are and what you're good at. And the second one is find your authentic voice. So I love the story that you told about being in college and, you know, not quite feeling like you were fitting in and then finding this path. So how do you think you really did that? Like, how'd you get the kind of courage? Because to me, that takes some courage.
Yeah, I feel like specifically for the years of between like 2019 until like the beginning of this year, I feel like I just had so many drastic life changes. So, and one thing that from a lot of the projects that I was working on over those last couple of years was one thing that I would, you know, when I was just confiding in people, it would be like, you know, like I get so worried because I feel like there are 500 girls that look just like me who could sing as well, dance as well, act as well, do anything as well as me. So what makes me any more special? And so over the course of these couple of years, like I've learned to figure out what that is, what makes Mona different than just some other 21-year-old girl who does the exact same thing that I do. And there's a lot that I know that I offer or that I've discovered that I can offer as me that makes me different than someone who looks just like me and does the same thing that I do. It was a lot hard. I feel like the first thing you have to do is come to terms with realizing that I don't know who I am. Right. I feel like it's easy for you to like be like, oh yeah, I know exactly who I am. But when you realize that you really don't know who you are, then you start to figure out who you are. Right. That's what I did.
I love that. When you figure out that you don't know who you are, you can start finding out who you are. That's so true. And even, you know, at my age, you know, I'm like mom age, you're like baby, baby age. You know? But even at my age, you know, I'm still learning things about myself. Like I didn't know I liked being on video until the pandemic when everybody started doing video. And I was like, oh, I can do this. This is fun. Whereas other people hate it. Like sometimes I try to get people to come on and they're all like, no, I don't want to be on video. So it's you know, definitely something that's ongoing throughout your life. So that was kind of two steps in one, or two pillars of self-confidence, because it was really of self-love, I meant, because it's really around authenticity, you know, feeling like you can, like, you know yourself enough to show up as yourself, and then the confidence to actually do it, you know? Yeah, because I think the thing that people, well, I don't know what other people love, but like when I watch your TikToks, what I love so much, besides the fact that you're hilarious, and like you give 1,000%. So like if you're like the one, I think it went viral where you just like dropped to the floor.
Yes.
I was like, did she really just kill herself? You know what I mean? I was like, that sounded like a loud thump. Like you really landed like that on the floor? Or did you use special effects? Like, what did you do?
No, it definitely sounded louder on camera than I think. I did not hit the ground that hard. Everyone asked in the comments, like, are you okay? Like, it really loud on the camera. I did not hit the ground that hard at all.
And for you guys, I'll try to put the link to that in the show notes so you can see that little clip. But yes, it was like you totally committed. And then also, somebody told me many years ago that our beauty is in our imperfections. So I think like when we allow ourselves to be kind of the goofball weirdos that we sort of all are secretly inside,
Yeah,
that's what people are really attracted to. Mm-hmm. All right, so the third tip, and I know a lot of people struggle with this, is learning to say yes to the things that you want and no to the things that you don't. And it's really, creating healthy boundaries for yourself, teaching people how to treat you. Do you want to comment on that? How do you do with saying no?
Whew. Now, learning how to say no is definitely still something I am working through even today. I think what has given me the confidence to learn how to put those healthy boundaries is like, I feel like I can get very overwhelmed when I get really, really busy. And so as much as I want to do everything, as much as I want to help everyone, sometimes I do just kind of have to say, like, at the end of the day, I know that I will not be able to give 100% focus to something. I would rather give 100% to one thing than give 70 to 3 things. So if I know it's not something that I can give 100%, so I know I'm not going to be happy with it, that's when I'm like, I feel comfortable enough to say no. And even still, like I'm still running around like a chicken with their head cut off, trying to do a million different things because I've said yes to so many things. But I just have to be like, I like to give 100% in everything I do, and to some extent, like if I'm doing too much, I'm not going to be able to give 100%. So that is how I've been trying to calm myself down from not being too upset about saying no to something.
Right. Or not feeling guilty.
Yeah.
Because there's only so many hours in the day. Mm-hmm. And you have to make sure that you're carving out time for rest, mm-hmm. To get sleep and to take care of yourself and to do things that you enjoy and, have time with your mans and stuff. Have your free personal time,
Right. Mm-hmm.
And the flip side of that is not just being able to say no, but being able to say yes to the mm-hmm. things that you want. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes, like, I don't know, I coach people, right? And sometimes I'll have a client where maybe they want to take a trip and they could totally afford it, but they feel guilty, so it's also the reverse of that, being able to say yes to the things that you want in your life.
Yeah.
So that was it. That was the 3 tips that I had. I'll repeat them back real quick. The first one was to figure out who you are and what you're good at, and then to kind of drill into your superpowers. The second is to find your authentic voice, which requires a little bit of confidence. Mm-hmm. And then the third was learning to say yes to the things that you want and learning to say no to the things that you don't want. What else would you share as like, as an amazing young woman that has a lot of people who look up to you? What else would you share with young girls or young women? First, self-love or self-care, does anything?
Yeah, it's just that loving yourself frees you from so many things. And like once I realized that oh my gosh, I don't just like myself, I love myself. Like so many things that were holding me back and so many things that I just used to pester myself about just kind of disappeared. And like you don't even realize how much weight and how much negativity you're carrying when you don't really authentically love yourself, and another thing is that it's a lot harder said than done. It does take the self work. It does take
mm-hmm.
the patience.
I'm glad you said that. Mm-hmm.
But when you get there, oh my gosh,
it's so true. And it doesn't mean perfection. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean you're conceited. Mm-hmm. It's just that you have grace with yourself. Yeah. When you make mistakes, you say, oopsie.
Like totally normal. Exactly. It's like the world is not going to fall apart because I made this mistake, or like I'm not going to fall apart because I made a mistake. It's just because we all make mistakes. I make 3 mistakes a day, but we keep it moving.
Well, the thing is, if you're not making mistakes, it's because you're not doing anything.
Exactly.
Like if you're sitting on the sofa watching Netflix all day, it's hard to make a mistake unless I don't know, you sit on the remote control or something. Um, yeah. Another one that I like to share is just having some kind of gratitude practice, you know, because like what I was talking about with the negativity bias before, like a lot of times it's so easy to focus on the stuff that you don't like, like my mom's driving me crazy, or my boyfriend's driving me crazy, or the job doesn't pay me enough, or all the things that you don't like. And just having some kind of gratitude practice helps you focus on the things that you do like. Whether you like at the end of the day, write down 3 things that you're grateful for, or I like to keep a list of like daily wins. And it's so fun to go back and look because I forget, it could be, there are just so many things, but like this film that I have coming up, like it was so random, but the moment that happened, I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited. So just, keeping like bigger things like that, but then little things,
Yeah.
I got a new client, let me write it down, so all of those things are exciting. And then there's, well, I don't know, do you have any more tips that you like?
Ooh, any more tips? I don't know. I think another thing is that I have stopped apologizing for existing.
That's a good one.
Yes, and so that is something that I am. It is a kind of like something I'm trying to even teach my little sister right now, who kind of sometimes doesn't necessarily feel comfortable just existing and being in her person. It's like I'm here. And I'm not just here, y'all gonna know I'm here, So many times, so long I've just kind of like apologized for just simply just living life and making these mistakes and just being me, or just standing and just waiting for things, but it's like watching like my little sister kind of like go through the same kind of awkward stage that I went through, trying to teach that to myself. It's like now I kind of like can know to teach her the things that I learned, so maybe that she won't have to go through it as long as I.
Yeah, she can get the express version.
Exactly. I'm giving her all the cheat codes.
Yeah, that's so sweet. Another thing I was thinking about, which we touched on a little bit, is self-talk, the way that we talk to ourselves. So I always tell people that your self-talk should be kind and empowering. So like one of the things that I like to say is if you are in the habit of saying, I can't do this, I can't do that, to change it to I will or I won't. Because you can do whatever you want. You're deciding whether or not you're willing to put in the effort, like you said, and show up 1,000%, Yeah. So that's good. She must be so happy to have you as a big sister.
Yeah, she's pretty lucky if you ask me, She's great.
All right. Well, thank you for having this conversation with me. This was amazing. So let our listeners know where they can find you and follow you and stay connected.
Yes. At Mona Swain, pretty much on everything: Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. Yeah, that's it.
Mona Swain all over the media. I love it. All right. So I encourage you guys to take the time to get to know and love yourself, especially if you're a young woman. Now is the time. I encourage you all to follow Mona. She's hilarious. Thank you for having this conversation with me. And I hope everybody enjoyed today's episode of the Mind Blowing Happiness podcast. You can visit my website, trishajelroberts.com, and hit the start here button to schedule a free 30-minute coaching session with me, or you could sign up for the Mind Blowing Happiness Circle that takes place every month on the 12th at noon. And you can also download my book club leaders guide there. So I wish you all passion, purpose, and the realization of your fullest potential. Enjoy the rest of your day, and may your journey be juicy. Bye-bye.